Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement, discover time-tested strategies, and get unconventional insight into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the Income Engineer.
All right, I am the Income Engineer here on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you so much for being here. This is actually episode 100. Episode 100 of the Personal Pension Radio podcast. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Technically, with certain compliance glitches that those of you who have listened to the show over the last many months, you'll know that one or two of the episodes that are in order are no longer on the feed. So when you're looking at my episode list and you notice that it skips from 57 to 59, for example, certain episodes that due to compliance review and a variety of, just challenges with making those episodes right, ultimately they were taken down until they could be re-edited and changed. So this is, in fact, episode 100, Personal Pension Radio. If you have not been to personalpensionradio.com, go there, check out the site. In the process of a full-blown redesign on that site, but what you've got there very simply is all of the back episodes and show notes and links that I might mention on this show. If you want to go reference something or check something out that I talked about, it'll most likely be there in the show notes. If you don't find what you're looking for on the website, please contact me through Personal Pension Radio, and I'd be happy to answer your questions directly. I'll find the information that's missing, and I'll get it to you straight away. I've had a number of people who have reached out with questions that they did not find in my notes. Now, what is Personal Pension Radio all about? Simply optimizing retirement income. Now, I want to be clear about something. This word retirement is such it's not synonymous with what it used to be synonymous with, which is, get to be age 65 and I'm going to retire from my job at this big company that I've been at for years, and I've got a lawn chair with my name on it and a glass of iced tea, and I'm just going to go sit in the lawn chair, or I'm going to go retire and I'm done working. And that's not necessarily what retirement looks like nowadays for many, many people. So when I say optimizing retirement income, I want you to think optimizing your post-work income. Maybe your job today is not the job that you want to have in retirement. I'm using air quotes for retirement. Maybe it's an exit. You want to exit from one career path and start another career path. Maybe your plan is at age 60, I'm going to exit this job and I'm going to start doing this job over here. So retirement is very different nowadays for many, many people. So when I say optimizing retirement income, let's say optimizing our post-exit income or optimizing our post-work lifestyle. Okay, think about all those, those different ways to consider it. But here's the truth of the matter, that optimizing income, optimizing that lifestyle income does not happen with a product. This show, my conversation is all about really just driving this point home so often that mutual funds, life insurance, real estate, annuities, commodities like gold and silver, none of these things by themselves will actually help you optimize retirement. Sure enough, I actually spoke with someone who I spoke with actually just a day or so ago that went through conversations with no less than three different financial advisors. And sure enough, one financial advisor, the answer was, you've got to have mutual funds. You've got to have these investments, and that's going to be the answer to your retirement. Another one was the life insurance. Oh, life insurance is the answer to retirement. Then yet another person had something different. And the answer is no one thing. Not even one or two things really is the answer to maximum lifestyle income. It's just not the case. You have to have an integrated approach that brings the best of all of these things. Notice what I said there, the best of all of these things. Mutual funds, life insurance, real estate, annuities, they all have phenomenal benefits. But when it's not until you bring those benefits together with each of those items, for example, that you're going to have a maximum lifestyle income. And this show, my purpose is really meant to give you hope for that retirement or that income after you leave the current career path, and to really turn the light back on at the end of that retirement tunnel. But I'm here to tell you, you've got to stop following this conventional wisdom. I'm going to talk about this some more today. When I say follow it, I mean, you might not even know it, but it's almost like you have no choice nowadays, but you are subjected to this conventional wisdom approach of financial planning. This mainstream Wall Street funded education that it's just ingrained in society. I'm here to tell you, though, if you want maximum lifestyle income at whatever point in your life, you've got to be willing to step out of line and take a different path. That's it. That's the only way it's going to work, because I was educated by the same Wall Street financial advisory machine that is educating financial advisors today. And I'm here to tell you that the education is only halfway there. And sometimes it's not even that. It is so majority focused on what is best for the financial advisory machine and not what's best for you. So you've got to be willing to step out of line and take a different path. And that's what I'm all about. I guess the name, The Income Engineer. I want to help you design your ideal lifestyle income someday when you're ready to enjoy it. Now, quick disclosure. I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. I am a certified financial planning professional, but please, 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 do not act on advice that you hear from me on this show or what you might consider to be advice. Please don't act on it. Please contact me, I would hope, or a qualified financial advisor before you act on anything that you hear on a radio show or a podcast show or anything like that. And especially, oh my dear goodness, please do not act on things that you hear from financial entertainers. Financial entertainers, people who are better than they deserve, are not licensed, they are not regulated, they're not monitored, and oftentimes they're giving out horrible, horrible advice that people act on as if it's gospel. Please, please, meet with a qualified financial advisor, someone who's going to get to know your situation in detail before you act on any kind of financial planning strategies or anything that you might consider to be advice. And I would really encourage you, meet with someone who has gone through the process of becoming a certified financial planner. It is a grueling, grueling process to become a certified financial planner. They follow a strict code of ethics. My code of ethics is this: operate with integrity, objectivity, competence, fairness, confidentiality, and professionalism. Now, that one thing, integrity, a lot of people can have integrity, but how much integrity do you have when you don't have really any financial education, any financial oversight, any financial designation that really gives you permission, that gives you the gravitas to be a financial advisor, and you're out there giving people financial advice? That's not integrity, actually. I think that's very misleading. That's like practicing law without a license, right? So please, if you're going to go look for financial advice, I hope you'll come to me, the Income Engineer. Go to Personal Pension Radio. Definitely bounce things off of me. I'm always excited to talk to listeners. Now, moving on, we're going to jump right into, this is episode 100, so I want to make sure that I'm quick and to the point here today. I don't want to belabor this because I want to get to this question about legacy that I mentioned on the last show, and I'm really excited about it because I love the topic of legacy, but I want to go to segment 1, which is my Watch Your Step segment. And I'm going to cover something that I touched on in the beginning, the intro. The Wall Street education machine is one of the biggest, marketing machines in the world. The world, folks, okay? So I want you to understand, and I've mentioned this, but I've never actually dug into any specific detail. And there's an actual article and some information at consumerfinance.gov. I'll have, of course, show notes in the, or I'll have a link in the show notes. See if I can get my words right. Now, I mention to you all the time on this show that the Wall Street machine controls the education of the financial advisors as a whole. Okay. And that the answer to every problem, I mentioned this to someone at my car show this weekend. The answer to every problem is invest, invest, invest. If you want to put a kid through college, oh my goodness, you got to invest in a 529 account. If you want to have a retirement someday, you got to invest in your 401k and mutual funds, and you've got to invest. If you lose your dog, you need to invest more money. If you get a flat tire, you need to invest more money. The answer is always invest. Now, here's the thing. Wall Street, the financial advisory community, on digital marketing alone is reported to spend over $7 billion a year in digital marketing alone. Just digital. And then, just so you know, soak that in. The financial services companies, the Wall Street community, my world, spends about $17 billion a year on marketing. That works out to about $54 per person per year. That doesn't even count the marketing of retirement products, college loans, and investment products. That's just general financial services companies spend on advertising $17 billion. Okay? So when I say that the world is out here is just flooded with messages about save, invest, it's true. The financial services industry has a massive pocketbook that they're able to pay for advertising like no one else, because they have this gigantic war chest of profit that they spend an enormous sum on marketing. Now, that's good for me. I'm in the financial industry, obviously. So this is a section called Watch Your Step. You have to be aware that the primary dominant message that you will hear is the message controlled by Wall Street and the financial services industry, which is save, invest. And they spend a massive amount of money encouraging you to do so. Now, on the contrary to that, on the other hand, how much money does the financial industry, or how much money is spent on financial education? So we've got, first, I just mentioned $17 billion spent on marketing just the financial services companies and financial services industry. That did not include retirement products, college loans, etc. So that's over a $25 billion spend on financials, right? How much is actually spent on financial education in America? Remembering now, we're over $20 billion easy on the other side, which is invest. Financial education as a nation, we spend only about $670 million a year on financial education. That's $2 per person per year. So just to give you the contrast again, the financial services companies spend $54 per year to promote their message, which is invest. And the financial education spend is $2 per person. $54 per person to encourage you and to get you thinking to invest. $2 per year on financial education. So just what is the result? Okay, so what's the result of this imbalance, right? People don't, and this is my opinion, people don't know how to build a financial house. They don't understand proper building techniques, which is the financial education side of things, right? They don't understand how to build a financial house. So all the time. I talk to people who are saying, oh, my financial advisor said I need to invest in this, or my real estate person said I should invest in this, or my banker said I should talk to the investment people and open a Roth IRA. People don't know how to build a financial house. They start with the walls. They try to put the roof on first, and they've been told that they should invest. But you've got to build it right. And here's the process. When you think about building a financial house, keep it simple. What is the very first thing that you have to do before you can start building a real estate project or a construction project? It's not what you might think. Most people don't pay attention to it, but the very first thing that goes up on a building project, a real estate project, is the fence. You put a fence around the project to make sure that the project stays safe, that nobody falls in a hole or something. That's protection. Protect the build project first before you start putting up walls or building foundations or anything like that. Okay? That's how you build a house. You start with protection first. Then you put down a strong foundation. Now, in the financial world, a foundation might be cash, liquidity, emergency and opportunity funds. That's a foundation. That's a strength position in the financial world. The next step is then you start putting up the walls. Those are your beginnings of investments and things like that. And finally, you put the roof on. You cap that house. You put a roof on. Now you might have an income plan for lifestyle in the future, perhaps more advanced investments and things like that that are going to pay and help and pay for your retirement. But you build that house right, and it will be strong. It will be well protected. But if you start with the walls, trying to put the walls up, and you have no foundation, and heaven forbid you don't have a fence up, somebody drives right through your project, right? It's so important that you build things in the right order. Now, here's a great example. If you're married with a good income and you both rely on each other financially, and you meet with a financial advisor, this is a true story. You meet with a financial advisor who begins the conversation with, you should invest in a Roth IRA. You are not with a good financial advisor. You're not. Flat out, I'm calling you out. If you're a financial advisor listening to this show and you start your conversations with people with invest, Roth IRA, life insurance, real estate, whatever, you're not doing your job. And if you're the person sitting with a financial advisor, this is a true story. This was the first bit of advice given to a husband and wife. They don't have any kids, but they both have good incomes. They both work. They both financially rely on each other. And the conversation started with Roth IRA. Well, wait a minute. The conversation should have started, if it started with me, how much life insurance do you have? Do you have enough life insurance that if one of you died, that the other would not be economically ruined? How much liability insurance do you have on your cars and on your home? Are you protected from creditor risks and liability if something were to happen? Would somebody be able to take your house or force you to lose some of your income, right? Protection would have been the very first thing. So if your financial advisor doesn't start with protection, they clearly don't understand how to build a house, a financial house. Maybe that's because they were educated by the same financial advisory machine that most financial advisors have been educated by. $54 per person is spent on invest, right? So keep that in mind. Watch your step. The proper build of a financial house should give you a good indication of whether you're talking to a financial advisor that has your best interest in mind. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. I've got a really cool client or listener question. So this question came in from a listener, and they say, my family has never had much money. I want to leave my children more than my parents and more than their parents. What is the best way to leave behind a legacy? Well, that is an excellent, excellent question. There's lots of different ways to leave behind a legacy, and it's not just money. So let me just go through the notes and the things that I, came up with, and we'll see where this goes. But I'm excited about this because it's something I think about with my daughter all the time, leaving behind a legacy. Let's start with this. Don't underestimate the power of passing along common sense and knowledge. Good conversations can be more valuable than simple gifts of money. So before you hand over money, before you give a gift of money financially or in assets, ask yourself, are you also giving that person or those children or those family members, are you also giving them, or have you given them some of the education and the life experience that it took to acquire those assets? The knowledge, the challenge, the struggle, whatever it might be. Don't underestimate passing on the common sense that helped you accumulate those assets in the first place, and the knowledge that helped you accumulate those assets in the first place. Really, really important there. Don't underestimate how important that is. Now, before you think about giving life experiences, share your mistakes, share your victories. Don't just share the victories. You have to make sure that you share those mistakes as well. Share your fears and your failures. Share those things, because the fears, the failures, the mistakes, those all lead to the victories and the successes that you've had. Be sure to share it all as much as you can to give that next generation a true understanding of what it took to accumulate the gifts they're about to receive. Now, when it comes to money, please set a good example. Be responsible with your finances first. Don't sacrifice your own financial security for your child, because they might ultimately suffer by seeing the poor example that you set financially. They might ultimately treat the money that you leave them in the same way that you treated the money that you had. Don't leave a bad example when it comes to how you took care of your finances, right? So please set a good example. Be responsible with your finances first. I had a conversation once with a client who came and they asked me questions about paying off debt. And they weren't in debt when I had originally met them, and it was just a really basic type of help that I had given them when I had first met them. And here they were sitting in front of me, and they were concerned about debt. And I said, well, where'd this debt come from? Oh, well, we had to pay for a wedding for my daughter, and we had to buy my son a car. And whoa. You did not have to pay for a wedding. You did not have to buy your son a car, is what I said. I was very blunt. You didn't have to do any of that. Be responsible with your own finances first, because here we were with mom and dad less than 10 years away from retirement, and now they had thousands and thousands of dollars in debt that they didn't have before. And the economy had turned sideways on them, so they weren't making as much money as they had been. And yet, then they just hand over this money to their kids for free. And I just encourage you, please be responsible with your finances first. Don't sacrifice your own financial security, because your kids would ultimately or can ultimately suffer from that bad example. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you should not spend money in order to help your children in an emergency or something, some bad situation, because bad things happen. I totally understand that. But please, make sure that you take the opportunities when the opportunity comes up to help your kids with things, and to talk to them. Share your weaknesses when it comes to your financial position. Tell your kids, be honest, be fully disclosed, so they know what your situation is, what your struggles might be. You never know. They might actually step up. And and take action and responsibility for some of this themselves, some of that financial cost or expense themselves, where if you just hand it over, they don't have any reason to think differently. They'll just take the money, right? So, another example, giving your kids a car without any work expectation. Gosh, I've heard that so many times. Even if you've got plenty of cash, plenty of money, you're making tons of money, and you're just giving your children stuff, you're just giving your grandchildren stuff, it will affect them negatively. There are facts and figures that have been around for decades that the majority of wealth is gone after the second generation. Because the first generation, your generation, you're listening to me right now, let's say, did not teach that next generation common sense, fiscal responsibility. They didn't teach it. They just handed over cars and gave assets and just gave stuff away without any expectations of work or knowledge that went with it. So please give your kids the gift of that knowledge, that common sense. Help them understand what it took to actually accumulate that, okay? Now, when it comes to leaving behind wealth, the actual third objective, when you think of the 4 wealth objectives you might have heard me say before, but I'll go through them really quick. Number 1 wealth objective, my target, if you will, and when I look at my personal mission, my mission with clients is to help build wealth efficiently first. Efficiently first, control costs, eliminate the drains on your wealth. Second, enjoy it. Set a good example by enjoying your success and let your children, the generations aspire to do the same. Don't just give it to them. Have them aspire to that kind of life enjoyment that you might have. The third wealth objective is pass it on. Legacy. Set a good example by enjoying it, but also leave the desired maximum legacy to the people and causes that you choose. And the fourth wealth objective is to make sure the plan works. Don't let things like offshore weddings derail your personal financial plans. Okay? Now, wealth in multiple forms, but my favorite is often overlooked, especially by financial entertainers who are better than they deserve, right? Wealth comes in all different shapes and sizes, but one of them is often overlooked. So what kind of things can you leave behind, right? As far as leaving behind a financial legacy, which is really, the driving question this person asks, wanted to leave money behind, right? So the various things that you can leave behind: real estate, land, stocks, bonds, business assets. And the third one, which I mentioned, that a lot of financial entertainers and financial advisors don't talk about, is life insurance. Life insurance is truly the biggest legacy impact for the dollar in most cases. But let me cover something just real quick about business assets, right? So business assets and real estate, these are two places that if you do not leave behind education, common sense, business wisdom, the next generation is more than likely to simply sell your business assets or sell your real estate and your land without any real understanding of the true value of those assets. Okay, if you haven't taught them what it took to acquire your real estate holdings or to build that business asset, if they don't really understand the pain and the struggle behind it, they're not going to appreciate it as much as you do. So please, that's a big, big deal. So leaving behind those kind of assets is very powerful. Now, life insurance is a tremendous way to leave behind a legacy for those people who may not be in a position to have, multi-million-dollar businesses or real estate to leave behind. Life insurance is a way that good, average family, middle class, upper middle class, the wealthy use it all the time, but just folks who may not have a multi-million-dollar portfolio, life insurance is a very powerful way, a very affordable way to be able to leave behind a tremendous legacy. much greater than what someone might be able to do on their own trying to invest. So it's in many cases the biggest legacy impact for the dollars put in, right? So an example, a client wanted to leave money for his grandkids and great grandkids. So let me give you an example. So this is a client, actual case that client wanted to leave money for his kids and his grandkids and his great grandkids. That's a lot of kids. And being able to build that much money in a separate type of investment or assets would take quite a bit of money. Right? So if you wanted to leave behind $500,000 or $700,000, you would have to save up and allocate $500,000 or $700,000. Now, this person had a retirement account that was not needed for lifestyle or emergencies. It was never going to be needed for their lifestyle or emergencies or long-term care or any of that kind of stuff. Okay? So if that investment account, this retirement account, was simply left behind for the legacy, it would leave behind a particular amount of money, let's say a couple $100,000. It would leave behind a couple $100,000, and that would be an okay legacy. Be very nice. Nothing wrong with that. Now, instead, this person is able to purchase, and this is what we did. I helped him purchase life insurance. This is cash value life insurance. This is a specific type of life insurance. Let's not get into what kind of life insurance, but let's just say it's permanent life insurance. It's life insurance that will pay a death benefit no matter when this person dies. Right? So if you want to know more details about what type of life insurance and so forth, please contact me at Personal Pension Radio. I'm happy to go through the details with you. Okay? I'll happily go through that. Now, so we've got a retirement account that is not needed whatsoever and a desire to leave a legacy behind. The retirement account is good. It's a strong, solid account, worth maybe a couple $100,000. Now, this person from that retirement account is now set up to move, you ready for this? $8,500 per year from that retirement account investment into the life insurance. Okay, so $8,500 per year. Everybody got that? All right. From day one, right now, immediately, the life insurance policy will pay to his family. Remember, we started with a couple $100,000. That's what the legacy would be if he simply left them the retirement account. We move $8,500 into this very specifically designed life insurance policy for legacy. Guaranteed day one death benefit to his family, his legacy, $750,000. If you die with the retirement account, the family gets whatever is in the retirement account minus the taxes. But if he dies with a life insurance policy, they get whatever's left in the retirement account plus $750,000 income tax free. Income tax free, period. There is no other place that this person, this husband and wife, could put $8,500 into any kind of an investment that would guarantee $750,000 income tax free to the next generation. That is an amazing legacy enhancement. That's what, when I talk about this kind of stuff with clients, I have to say, don't simply run out and buy a life insurance policy so that you could leave a legacy. If you're not going to leave the education and the common sense and the wisdom and the struggles and everything I talked about before, if you're not going to leave that education with the kids in the first place, don't bother leaving them the life insurance because they'll just blow through it. They won't have any sense of what to do with it, of how to truly do something even better with it. So before you think about jumping into giving this kind of life insurance, make sure that you give the education to go with it. So let me do some numbers here. Let me help you understand what this means. Okay, because we took a $200,000, and again, I'm using that rough number. We took something where we took $8,500 per year and put it into a life insurance policy that is designed to pay a guaranteed death benefit until this person leaves the planet. So if he dies at 85 years old, the family gets $750,000 income tax free. Income tax free. So there are those out there that would say, whoa, wait a minute. You could just invest, and you'll leave behind a lot of money. So if you were to try and get an investment account to do the same thing, leave behind $750,000 income tax free, you would need an 8% return, roughly so, with no losses every single year for nearly 30 years. Because this person's 55 years old, by the way. Sorry, I missed that. 55-year-old example. You would need an 8% return year over year and never have any losses in order to match a $750,000 guaranteed income tax-free death benefit. Okay? What if this person died at 75? What if they die at 75? Well, in an investment account, which some financial entertainers would tell you, oh no, cash value life insurance is always horrible. It's always going to be horrible. I tell them they're just full of bull. Okay? Because at age 75, if this person died, in order for that investment account to have matched what the life insurance pays out income tax free, that investment account would have had to make almost 14.5% return every year with no losses. There is no way, no how that an investment account would ever be able to leave behind that kind of legacy. It's just not possible. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't have the goal to leave behind investments in real estate and land and just legacies like that. Not at all. But if you're in a situation where you don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to leave behind larger and larger sums of money, think about it. A properly designed life insurance plan, $8,500 per year, guarantees $750,000 in a legacy. That's powerful. An income tax-free legacy, even more powerful. As long as you send that legacy into the future with some education behind it, some good stories, some good personal sharing, that is a powerful, powerful thing, right? Powerful thing. So don't underestimate the power of life insurance. Just full disclosure, by the way, life insurance policies, they are not created equal. Death benefits are backed by the claims-paying abilities of the life insurance companies. Absolutely. You want to look for a well-rated insurance company and a financial advisor. This is so important. Who knows how to design life insurance that's right for you, that's right for your situation. So important, okay? Now, that's going to conclude this episode today. I love that conversation about legacy. Truly, you heard how much time I spent on the education and the common sense and the knowledge that goes into leaving a legacy. It is truly more important than the money you might leave behind because unless your goal is just to let the kids have it and they'll, you don't really care if they blow through all the hard work that you put into accumulating the money. But if that bothers you, if the idea of your kids and grandkids blowing through all your money bugs you, please leave behind legacy, education, and common sense before you think about leaving behind money. If you would like to look into leaving behind a life insurance legacy, because you understand perhaps that a life insurance legacy might be the most accessible way for anybody to leave behind a magnified legacy, go to Personal Pension Radio and contact me there. Contact me at personalpensionradio.com. I would love to talk to you because I do enjoy designing plans like this with legacy in mind. I love it, and I'm truly, truly good at it. I really enjoy designing life insurance in a bigger picture with the investments and the additional legacy items that go to the next generation. It's something that I just very, very much love to do. So please, episode 100 is now, as some radio folks will say, in the can. Please do not forget to take action on things. If you got motivated even a little bit, you got a little tingle like you wanted to take some action, now is the time to do it. Get out there. Personalpensionradio.com. You can contact me. If you want to talk to your own financial advisor, do that. Don't wait. I know it's Christmas and all of that time is coming up. This is the time to ask those questions. This is the time to talk to mom and dad about that legacy. This is the time to talk to your kids about mistakes and opportunities and fears and challenges and victories and all these things that I just mentioned. Please take action. I'll be back at you on episode 101 coming around the corner here real soon. Take care. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.